So we was recently just talking about we were looking at some of our videos and just thinking to ourselves, like, how far we've come and different things that we've gone through in our life. And we realized that one of the topics that we wanted to share with you guys was counting up the costs. Since we've been out here, we just realized how much you really, really have to consider what you're getting into for the long haul, as opposed to just what you want right now.
So counting up the cost is not all about strictly dollars?
No. When I say counting up the costs, or when we say counting up the costs, we're referring to taking the time to plan out your course of action. What is it going to take to get from A to C? Not B, but because B is in between, but from A to C, or however long, whatever your goal is, like, what do I really need to get there?
A lot of people step out into different ventures, to different things, and maybe not look at all the ins and outs that entails. Sometimes that's just, even this meeting right here, being on social media in general, allows you to get a sneak peek into people's lives, to how certain things get done, so you'll kind of know how to move to keep from falling in some of the pitfalls that they fell in. So being able to count up the cost is just being able to be aware of any and all that it's going to take to get your goal accomplished, whatever that may be. So then you have to look at really, who are you following? Who are you watching? What type of intake are you intaking when it comes to things that apply to what you're trying to do? And that's not always an easy task to do, is to find the proper channels, the proper means to really get you going off on the right foot, because that's really another way that you can, quote unquote, count up the cost, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would also say just like the integrity of it all. I think a lot of times with counting up the costs, you may start off one way and you may be a certain way, but as you're growing, life is changing, situations are happening to you, you become a different person in the process. But the integrity, staying the course, and being true to who you say you are and what you say you're going to do for yourself and for others, if you're a leader like us, then that matters. And that is a struggle. I'll say I look at that as being a struggle.
Yeah,
because
sure.
my goals and the way I viewed things when I first got into, let's just say, trucking, because I'm going to use that. But for you, it could be something different.
Right.
But when I first got into trucking, I had a different life and my goals were different. Well, I've hit and met some of those goals in the process, but I still have, greater goals that I want to achieve. And now I have to go to a whole nother level that requires me to be more than what I was when I first came into this. So now I'm counting up the costs. Like, did I sit back then? Did I look back then and say, okay, was it going to take all of this?
Right.
Now.
And there's no end all, be all, quick fix to any of it.
No.
Because with time comes motion. So with that being said, everything is constantly changing. So what you calculated and what you put together at one point in time may not stand true today. So you have to be willing to make those adjustments. I think we've had a video on that before, on
That's
just the adjustments that need to be made while in motion, while in on your path. You got to constantly evaluate what you're doing to see what things are working, what things aren't working,
Right.
what should be added, what should be taken out. Because like I said, everything is constantly in motion. So you must constantly reboot, regroup, regather information, and possibly take another course if need be. So
I like that.
Yeah.
That's what you just said.
I knew you would.
You said adjusting, but I would say also to add to that, adapting to change. Like,
Yes.
being a person that can adapt to change, it makes a huge difference when you are counting up the cost in your life of the things that you really want to achieve, because change is inevitable. It's going to happen.
Facts.
And so you got to be willing to say, am I changing with this thing, or am I going to try to remain this person that I've been, thinking that something is going to happen different? And
Right.
it's just not going to happen that way.
And
It's really not.
a lot of times, and it also goes to just being able to stay steadfast. You can't make impulsive decisions. You can't
Right.
do a lot of things on the fly because one, you didn't calculate what that action or reaction will cost you. There's a lot of people who, hold themselves to certain standards, live by a certain code, so to speak, and along their journey to get where they're trying to get, sometimes those ideals that you hold so true to yourself may have to have some type of compromise with them. Meaning, you could be one type of person, and yes, in a normal day to day, certain things you would not accept, certain things you would not deal with. But you must look at the grand scheme of whatever it is that you're trying to do and know that this small blip, this small contradiction, if you will, because life is going to come with all types of trade-offs, and you must kind of take this in order to get that, and that's going to be up to each individual to determine for themselves. But a lot of times you definitely need to swallow your pride, and really look at the broad and long-term effects of your decisions. And we all make impulsive decisions. That's kind of what life is. We're emotional, just as people in general. But when the times that you can grasp that and really give yourself a few moments to step back and really look at a situation, your whys, your just your overall reasoning for being and doing what you do. Is this thing really that big that I'm gonna allow it to alter my trajectory, to alter what I'm trying to do, just so I can stay true to who I am and what I am or what I say I am? Because we all don't even know who we are or what we are until we're put in certain situations. I don't want to
I
ramble on
no,
you,
no,
but
you're not rambling. I can agree. I would say with that, to counteract that, start off with a plan. I think oftentimes when we are counting up the costs, if you are impulsive, then you're just, if you start impulsive, then you'll continue to remain impulsive a lot of times. We share this with our children all the time that, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So
that's
always
it.
have a plan, because what happens is, if you get off course, or when I should say you get off course, because nobody's perfect, you always have something to come back to. You always have that initial plan that you started off with to say, this is why we're in this. This is why we chose to go this route. And this is what it's going to take. And I think that that is what helps with counting up the cost.
Facts.
But I wanted to add to what counting up the cost is understanding that the cost will can be great. Like this life, let's just say trucking for us, team trucking.
Yes.
This life has cost us a lot.
Oh,
I'm not talking material things, and I'm not talking about things you can see per se. But I'm saying there's a high cost to living this way, because we have certain things that we want in our life. Tangible things, of course, yes, things that we can see with the natural eye, but there's also things that we get that you can't see: a certain level of freedom, a certain level of peace, a certain level of reward, okay, that we get from this life in
facts.
general. But it comes with a cost. It comes with a cost. And I can't say, honestly, that I knew coming into this all that it would cost me, because some things change, like we were talking about. And I'll just throw some things out there. It can cost you friendships, relationships. It can cost your influence and how people view you. It can cost you your time and experiences that you hold dear to you, memories, funerals. Like, I don't want to
Yes.
miss anybody's funeral
No.
that I love. I don't want to miss, my grandkids being born, or,
Facts.
major birthdays and holidays and things like that. So it's not always sacrificing for something that's entertaining.
Right.
There are some sacrifices that we're going to make and have to make a choice based on this life that we've chosen. those of you who are truckers understand that once you get in the lane and you start having a rhythm that you want to maintain that.
Yeah.
Because this is like it's a lifestyle. So once you start doing that, what is it called? Double Dutch, you can miss out, because you might be a certain space that your rhythm is going in that place you're in, and then when you have to jump out, then you got to come back in and find your spot.
And
With
sometimes it's not
trucking.
always worth it. But
Right.
that's for you to
So,
decide.
but again, this is all what we're talking about, counting up the costs. And it makes me think about a lot of things that you can count the cost of, like buying a home, purchasing what type of vehicle to purchase, whether you're
Yes.
going to get a new one or a used one or just get you a hoopty or whatever the case may be, whether you're going to rent, purchase, or invest, whether you're going to be a girlfriend, a fiance, or a wife, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many different, you know what I'm saying? If we're going to have kids now, we're going to wait, or we're going to adopt. I mean, whoever. There's always something you have to count up the cost, because it's not just about what you want right now, but what it takes to maintain it, what it's going to take to get there, and what the overall outcome is.
And your overall goals may change.
Yes.
So you have to take that in
Into
account
account.
also, that can you really put all your eggs in one basket? Because a lot of times, I know for me, there's things I could want so bad. And once I get them, it may not be what I thought it was going to be. But I have to look at the win, because I did accomplish a goal that I set out to do. And you can't negate the small wins, because that's really what this life is about. That's really what just overall growth is about, is the small steps, the small wins that get you to an ultimate goal. You can't overlook those things, because there's so many people out here that just can't get a break. They can't get a win. And that win is so very important, because I know people who seem to can't get that win, and their just overall morale, their outlook on life, and just the way they carry themselves, it's it's almost from a defeated place, and that's never a place that you want to conduct anything from. It's from a already loser or just defeated mentality. You want to give everything you got, everything you have, to whatever that is, because you never want to look back and wonder, man, if I just had done a little more of this or a little more of that, what could I have created?
Yeah, but that's the reality. Like,
Yes.
that is the reality. None of us have
Facts.
always been up. There has been a space of defeatedness that causes us to go up and to do something different,
Perseverance
right?
is
To
very,
perseverance,
very, very
exactly.
important.
And I think that, like what you were saying, like counting up the cost, that's what this overall means to me. Like, I feel like it's important to have these conversations because it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
I was, and remember when I was the other person on the other end trying to get a win before trucking, always trying to find a way to get a win. And then now that you got one, it's like, is it just all about that, or is it more so about the overall picture? So all of this is counting the cost. We are out here now, we're trucking, we're in a whole different lane. So trucking for us looks different. YouTube for us looks different. Sharing content for us looks different. It cost us something more than it did when we first started.
Yes.
Because when we first started, we were in a lane that we could be very much accessible, and we could share, and we could be open. We could, let y'all in a lot more. And now it's a little bit more restricted, which causes us, first of all, to have to count up the cost of how we're going to do it. But then we have to grow with it, because we got to find ways to be even more creative with
Yes.
coming with this type of content for y'all.
But it's also about doing what it is that we do.
Yeah.
I know that the advice and quote unquote teaching content may not be the most popular thing out there, because everybody loves to see the show. Everybody loves the foolishness, so to speak. Everybody loves the circus. Everybody
People want to
really,
be entertained.
yeah, everybody loves a clown show, and we get it. So getting the multitude of views and the overall what everybody seems to be chasing when it comes to YouTube has never really been our thing. We started this thing just to pretty much show our family and friends what our life is on the road.
Before we knew what life would be on the road.
Right. So now that we can't really give a detailed view of our life from this median, as far as just social media overall, we had to figure out ways to kind of still satisfy ourselves, because this is something that we enjoy doing. Even if we don't do it a whole lot, you may think we don't, but this is something we enjoy doing. We enjoy
do.
connecting. We enjoy giving our perspectives of just life in general, because that's really what we're in this for, to help teams, couples, even the solo drivers navigate through this whole trucking space, because this is year 7 for us.
It is.
We've been out here 7 years.
We have.
And it's one thing to just be trucking, but this is a business for us. We're entrepreneurs in the trucking space. So just
It's a lifestyle.
deciding to quit and stop and
Right.
we're going to go do something else. It really don't happen like that, because we're greatly financially, emotionally, we're invested completely.
Yeah, we're all
like,
in.
it's like I said, it's been 7 years. There's a lot of things that have happened to our life and our family's life and just our overall family structure in the past 7 years that have been greatly affected by trucking,
Yes.
negatively and
And
positively.
positively.
So for us to just throw up our hands and say we're done with it, we can't do that, because this
Or it's
is
not what
our
we
life.
want to do. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
our
but
life.
for
This
us
is
to
what
just
we chose.
call
Yeah.
ourselves throwing our hands and
Yeah,
being
no.
done with it, it would
Yeah,
have great effects
Oh yeah.
on our overall
It would be a
family.
trickle down effect
Facts.
in our home.
And I'm not willing to pay that cost.
But right, and I also wanted to add this too, that I think that one of the things about us is if it feels forced, we ain't with it. You know what I'm saying? And our beginnings of our YouTube and coming out sharing, whether it was Instagram or Facebook or whatever, was so organic. It was what we felt. It was what we was passionate about, and we still are, but in a different way. I mean, you think about it, we 7 years older.
Yes.
And there is a different narrative that we have, a different perspective, a different conversation that we want to have, and it's not always fun and jokes and this, that, and the other. I mean, yeah, you can loosen up, but we still see people and lives still the same. We've been in this for 7 years and we still see some of the same struggles. So
Yep.
if these conversations don't go a little bit deeper, then are we really making a dent or even touching the surface of what our real goals was coming out here?
Because we still get questions. Because there's so many people who are counting up their costs, that's looking at their life and are not satisfied with it. So we still get the questions from couples because they're considering ripping their whole foundation up to reapply a new one. At whatever their ages are, these are grown men, grown women with families, grandchildren, and the whole nine yards that are looking to do something different.
Yeah.
And they come to us for it.
Yeah.
So, this is just not fly-by-night stuff. This is just not, it's, I guess, like you said, it's an entertainment factor, but I've never been here to entertain you. I don't have no TikTok dance for you. That's never been our thing when it comes to any of this,
I mean, we've done some things where
Get
we
it.
show y'all
Granted.
like where we eat at and
Granted.
different things that we done, and we consider that to be the entertainment portion of it.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's
overall,
like
I'm not trying to per se project fun. You know what I mean? We can enjoy things, yes. But just entertaining you overall is not what my aim or my goal is, because I'm looking at this stuff as real life. Like,
Yeah,
we are
our real life.
We are accountable. There's so many people who are out here doing their thing, and they're not accountable to nobody. So they just do whatever they want to do, however they want to do it, and whatever the result of that is, they'll just deal with it because they're the only one that have to deal with it.
But sadly, there are many who are accountable
Facts.
to people
And
that still live
those-
in a way that they are not. Because oftentimes if you can't get this straight, you know what I'm saying, then everything else falls by the wayside. And then the other people in your life that are working on themselves wind up picking up the slack from those who have not been able to thrive forward.
Right.
So that's why we doing these. We've been there. We know it. It's not a knock on anybody. It's just like we wanted to really share. Like, you got to count the cost up for life. Like, for life.
For life. we offer that closing out. But I just say, it's your boy Moito Folk.
And your girl, the real Connie.
Now, whether husband or wife,
Or besties for life.
or you just like what you like,
As long as you do it as a team,
you'll be all right.
you be all right.
Peace.
Peace.